like she was toxic, and then she did old boy wrong, right? Come on, Camille. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
They're getting married tomorrow. Let me go in.
I mean, not trying to make excuses, but she wanted her right mind at that time. She was not in her right mind.
So welcome in, y'all. Welcome to Black Girls Talking TV, where we are bringing the group chat to life and talking all of your favorite TV shows. We are so excited to be here. We are 3 Black professional women who also love TV. So let's get into it. I am Victoria Davis. I am a psychologist in the state of New York and Illinois, specifically the New York metropolitan area and the Chicago metropolitan area. And I am a TV girly down. So happy to be here.
I'm Kamaria. I am a lawyer in the DC area. I'm also a pop culture writer. So I've written about shows like Insecure and Love is Blind, and I love, picking them apart. And so I'm excited to do that in video form and join these lovely ladies as we kind of talk shit and dish about our favorite shows.
Hi, I'm Chi-Chi. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I'm based in London, and I love to talk about all things love. I'm also a TV girly. I like a good film. I like a good series, and I'm looking forward to joining these ladies to talk all things TV.
All right, so Black Girls Talking TV is really just, it's like Victoria said, we're bringing the group chat to life. All the things you like to talk about with your girls, all the things that you are dying to talk about with someone after the show ends, you can just come on over here. We'll be able to talk about it with you. We're just TV fanatics as well, and we really think it's important for the culture to have these Black women conversations around our favorite shows like Living Single, Girlfriends, just talking about how some of these shows shaped us as Black women, and then talking about current shows like Harlem. So that's our first season that we're going to be talking about, and this episode here is going to be doing a recap, but we're going to be here every week, really going through Harlem first. Also doing movies here and there. We're also thinking about doing The Bachelor, because it seems like, Victoria, you say you watched The Bachelor, right?
I watched it in the past, so we got our second brother. So,
okay, so this is the biggest cast of Black women. It seems like, so that we're thinking that's on, in the works for us. So, so stay tuned and let us know, in the comments, what you are interested in, what you watch, what you want us to talk about. But it's just really a space for us as Black women to kind of talk about some of these shows, talk some of these themes, and really have a that's dedicated to that with diverse Black women perspectives.
And if you want to catch our weekly episode, you can follow us on our social media outlets, Black Girls Talkin TV. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. And Victoria, I think you mentioned Lemon8.
Yeah. Yes, Lemon8.
Lemon8, yeah, just in case TikTok does not continue with us.
Alrighty, so season 1 and 2, it had a lot in it, and this episode is all about recapping it. So ladies, what do we love about Harlem as a show?
I love that it's really these Black women characters, and I like the friendships. It's centered around stuff we know. I wouldn't rank it as high as I did Insecure or whatever, but it's a good show. I feel like it's a really good, solid show.
Yeah, I would agree. I really enjoy the friendships among the ladies. It's really beautiful. It's nice to see them in the city, living their successful. All of them are quite successful. Even one of the characters is struggling a little bit still, has a lot of talent. And so it's nice to see, Black women having strong female friendships and, living their best life.
I also just love the theme of the show. I think going through all the characters and their different struggles, they all kind of have these points where they have to figure out, do I play it safe or do I follow my heart? And just the overall question in all of their lives, is love enough? And I feel like that is something, as Black women being, the most educated demographic, it's something that we often struggle with in day-to-day lives. And I think the pace of the show is very on point with just how things unfold for anyone who looks like us. And so to see that on screen, I think is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Is there anything that we were not feeling, or that we don't think maybe that Harlem does good as a whole? except that they don't do as well. 'Cause I have something, but that's just, like
I
oh, go ahead, Gigi.
Okay, yeah. I really like Harlem. I enjoy it. I think, and this might not just be a critique of Harlem, but overall, I would love to watch a show where like just black women aren't struggling to find love.
Yeah.
Even if it feels like a utopia, like I
It's
just love to see
reality sometimes. I mean, maybe let me
it.
not say that because people gonna come for me. They're gonna be like, "Black women do not struggle," and I'm like, I'm not saying we struggle, and I don't think it's because of us, but I do
Uh-huh.
think that like because we're in these like high places in terms of like higher education, like and it
Yeah.
just moves us into these jobs that sometimes we're the only black person, and oftentimes like when I was in law school, like there was like a lot of black women, and probably like a fourth of that number were black men. You know what I mean? And so it's like you end up,
Hmm.
and in
Hmm.
college they say like it's 2 to 1. So you end up in these spaces. Even the shows, I think the first season had like this theme of like the girls being on the subway and like checking, and like they're all looking for the same
Yeah.
guy. So I think it's a
Yeah.
reality, but I don't think it's like I don't think it's a reflection of us in any kind of way. I just think that it's like it's sort of like I always say, it's like this is what history, the fallout of history of like what's happened with our people, and like there's like a lot of policing, and then like,
Oh, I mean, I agree, right? I think that, but if you have the creative space to create whatever you want to make, why create what is actually happening? So I would love to watch a show where that is not the thing, where you watch the show and it's like, oh yeah, I can expire, I can like daydream about this is my reality. I don't need to
Yeah.
watch my own dating experience on TV, even though I loved Harlem. So that would be the only thing that I was just like, ah,
no,
the struggle continues in real life and fake.
no, that's
Yeah, yeah.
real.
Give us a fairy tale for once.
Yeah.
Writers,
Right.
directors, creatives.
Yeah, no, that's real. One of the things that for me, I will say that I wasn't a huge fan of, I did not like the Ian Camille story. It did not feel like, it felt like every second, like when we were about to like be like, okay, I see it. It just is like, what is this? Like, what are y'all giving me? Is this a little toxic, or like what's happening here? Like, I wasn't feeling it as much. But I also wonder like what a show that didn't have like us focused on relationships would look like, because like
Mm.
I think that a lot of times like women in general, like society teaches us to kind of center men and center relationships in our lives, and I feel like one of the things that the show, it's centered the friendships, but even in that, it's like every relationship was like really the thing that was the focus, like everybody's little partnership, like Camille with Ian, Ty not having whoever she was effing around with, Angie the same, Quinn you know. So we'll, I guess, get into all of that, and kind of discuss each lady, one their kind of stories one at a time. And so we'll start with Camille, and just like what were you? I shared a little bit about my thoughts on the Ian Camille saga. What were you guys feeling?
It was a very much so tug and pull for me. Let's start off with the fact that the whole like kissing scene in the first episode, I mean not
Oh
the first
yeah, when
episode,
he
but the
had the
first
fiance.
season.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, right, right. And she didn't know that he was engaged. I feel like that was just, it was a little messy. Like, we didn't have to have that part of the story to get all of the juiciness of it. Because it just goes into that whole, like, it ain't ish bag, that you would sit there and kiss your ex or have this moment with your ex and not disclose that you are engaged, and really to see each other and have this conversation,
Yeah.
y'all doing things that y'all used to do in your past time, hitting the blunt, which is just very reminiscent and probably romantic for y'all, and at no point in this conversation do you want to say, baby girl, I'm
Yeah, like
engaged.
he
Like,
should have said it when he introduced the girl, because she came up to during the conversation and was just
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you're so gorgeous," and he'd be like, "Oh, Camille, this is my fiance. This is my
right.
Right. Right.
fiance." Like where
Hmm.
did that to me that was where he took a misstep. But I do think that like I started to feel for Ian a little bit after like they start sharing the story that like, okay, she like literally he was really about to propose to her, and she just
Yeah.
like left this man high and dry, because she was concerned about her career. Like, and
Right.
that's real, but it's also like you made that real choice, so like he can have real feelings about it. And so I did start to feel for him, and that's why I was like, okay, maybe they could be together. Then it's just they put them together, and then they're like, it was just it didn't flow right. It was like, this is what we waited for, so okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Camille is toxic.
That's interesting.
I just feel like you didn't want to be with, or you decided to choose your career over being in a relationship. Totally fine. You know, he comes back into town. I get like these emotions rush in. He's not very clear about being engaged, which he should have. But as soon as you found out, like it didn't necessarily deter you, like it didn't stop you from still like engaging with him on the different, like the times that they would like meet up and different, I don't know, I just felt like she was toxic, and then she did oh boy wrong, right? Like it wasn't like she was single, like somewhat pursuing Ian, right? She was like dating this other guy who was really into her.
Yeah,
And I just
Jameson.
felt like, come on, Camille, like you can't have your cake and eat it too. I mean, you can, but like you got to at least be honest. And I just felt
Right.
like this other guy was really falling in love with her,
Yeah.
and she was kind of acting like she was falling in love with him, but really she wasn't over Ian yet. And so, in the process of figuring that out, she ended up hurting another person, and I just felt like she was a little toxic for that.
Yeah.
But when they got together, I was really hoping it would work. I was like, all right, now that y'all have broken other hearts, maybe you all can actually work out together.
Yeah.
Yes. I think toxic is an interesting but correct um descriptor for what happened, because really Camille, she is impulsive. You know, like when you think about how she's like, okay, they're getting married tomorrow. Let me go in and just divulge my heart. Knowing I got a man on the side. I don't want to tell my man what I just did. We're just going to let things simmer out as he's trying to get me to move to where I forgot where he was going
Hmm.
next for his career. Then he decides, no, I actually want to be here with you. In that conversation, you weren't honest then, right? And then you got you going up to, was it Dr. Pruitt's house
What we go over?
and wanting to quit on the
She
fly.
was drunk. I mean, not trying to make excuses, but she was drunk. She wanted her right mind at that time. She was not in her right
Wow. And
mind.
he,
I give Camille a pass for that. Like, it was a little messy, but she was not. This is not like a well thought out decision. That's when I
Hmm.
think you're toxic. When it's like you thought about this with your whole sober brain. That was a little like she got a
I
little
mean, it
crazy.
even continued when her and Ian got back together. Then she was still went over to hang out to like do the like work with the guy on the grant,
But
and
yeah,
then
and
like
he do
you in
that. He
the
do
bed.
that. He approved that. He approved that. I feel like
he approved her to be sleeping in the bed with this other guy, and then to hide. Then she lied and said she went to some emergency with a friend, but then she actually stayed the night there. I was, she approved it, but then why did she lie? She knew there was a level of deception, like something was happening there. She was real messy.
Yes, there was no accountability from Camille. Not an
I just feel
ounce.
like this is my thing with Camille and Ian. Like I feel like they both are a lot, you know. And I was like, we was about to segue into Jameson, but let's stay here with Camille and Ian for a second. He kept walking out of like the arguments. I was just like poor conflict resolution. Like every time they had an argument, he kept walking out. Like I don't feel like the two of them. They just whatever the characters are, you know, they were not a vibe. Like they that I don't think that they brought out the best in each other. So
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I feel like I won't necessarily call Camille toxic. I just feel like her and Ian didn't bring out the best in each other, and I just kept waiting to see it. But yeah, Jameson. I like Jameson. How did y'all feel about that? And how did you all like it in comparison to the Jameson, the Ian Camille versus Jameson and Camille? So, because I didn't see him in the trailer either. I didn't see him in the trailer for season three.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't see
So I
them
was like,
either.
what's happening?
Um, yeah, I like Jameson. I thought he was a real gentleman. He was very intentional. And it's almost like the what's the Jasmine Sullivan song? In love with another man.
No.
where it's like you can have what's right, right? Like right in front of you, somebody who's gonna treat you well and be kind, but you're just in love
And
with that other
that's absolutely
man.
correct.
And
Yeah.
that is exactly what happened with James. And I felt so bad for him because he came straight in, like with the intentions, with the romance, gave her grace in a lot of areas. And she said, baby, it's Ian or nothing.
Right.
And to
I'd
say
agree.
Ian or nothing and not even discuss like values within that,
Having
like
kids.
you not right.
I
Having
know.
kids, you don't got Jameson or Ian now. Like,
Yeah, I didn't get
sure.
that either. Like, I'm like, how are they together? Supposedly have been all this years of history, and they never talked about having kids. I mean, unless she didn't couch like the conversation like, oh, I know I wanted in the past, but like I really changed. Like I'm not the same person anymore. That sort of thing. That would have
Yeah.
made more sense. But it seemed like they just never talked about it, and she just is now
Yeah, they
realizing
never
it.
talked about it, and I think it came up after she ended up going to the doctor with Ty, and I
Mm-hmm.
think she got tested
Yeah.
as well to see where her fertility was, and then that's when it was posed to her, like, this is what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
which happens for a lot of women, right? Like, the career is taken over, and you don't really get a moment to sit down and think about family planning and future planning and things like that, because a lot of times in these corporate spaces, that's something that's not necessarily supported. So I do feel like that was another thing in the show that highlights like very real life for a lot of women in general, especially Black women. And then to talk about just issues with fertility and how that now questions your desire for children and other ways to either conceive or have children that aren't natural.
What did you all think of Quinn? Right? Like, Quinn, she was a little, I wouldn't say messy, but she was quite desperate, is the word.
Yeah. I will
Yeah.
say Quinn represents, I think, individuals who have like those deep mother wounds and how when you don't receive like that love and like the nurturing side of your mother at a very young age and just even ongoing, it really does create like that space and that need for love and intimacy that can look very unhealthy. And so I think we see that a lot with Quinn. And she's such a sweet person and so kind hearted and so giving, which I think was very unfortunate because of a lot of people that she was involved with, besides our homie Sean, who I loved. Didn't really get to get that side of
Was
her
Sean the
so
last
much.
guy, her college boyfriend?
No, Sean was the stripper,
Oh
The
right? I
yeah, I
think
stripper.
did
Sean was.
like
Yeah.
Yeah,
him. I did like him, but it
yeah.
was
Yeah.
also
I like
kind of
him.
like that was a real dilemma. I actually thought that was like if they had explored that just a little bit more, I felt like that could have been something because it like he did seem like a nice guy. It's like
Hmm.
not to bring up Insecure again, but like when Molly was dating Jared, the guy who was like bi, I don't know if y'all remember
Yeah.
that. I
Hmm.
liked him, but it was like this real dilemma around like if that's not your vibe, what are you gonna do when you have a really nice guy? You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like you were saying like Quinn being so nice and stuff like that. I think it's all a lot of times couching like self-esteem issues like when people are overly
Hmm.
nice because it's like you gotta be a little bit like a little firm, a little protective of your space instead of like freely giving. Like when you freely give,
Hmm.
it's like you're just feeling like it's not valuable what you're giving away,
Yeah.
it's like
Hmm.
an endless
Hmm.
stream. And so when you value it, you're like, no, I'm not just pouring it out. But yeah, the mother daughter dynamic that you raised is interesting. Do you think it is also like applicable to like I know in her situation it wasn't, but like folks having like absent fathers or whatever, like is it like or do you think it's something specific to the mother daughter as a psychologist?
I think they bring up different issues, but also very similar. But I think this in terms of like the codependency that Quinn has on Angie, right? Like not wanting her to move out if she got a
Hmm.
man, like all of those things I think definitely stem from specifically having a mother who is emotionally abusive. I mean, she wasn't the nicest, for sure. She definitely transformed, I think, throughout the season, especially season 2, which I really enjoyed seeing her
Mhm.
like set boundaries and like want to explore herself without shame or guilt, and start to have more like autonomy in making her decisions. I thought her story was nicely unfolded on like no matter how old you are, right? Like we're all in this developmental space, and there's room and time for growth at all stages.
Yeah, I would agree. The way they unfolded and her character grew throughout season 1 and 2 was really nice. Even when she was exploring her sexuality. And what was the lady's name? Isabel? I think that's who she was in a
Yeah.
relationship with. Yeah. I actually really enjoyed that relationship. I hate that it couldn't have went further. But I understood like Quinn needed to have her own journey, right? And kind of really realize I don't need to be so desperate. I'm valued. I have worth, and I can kind of source and create happiness without actually having other people there doing that. And so, yeah, I enjoyed just the unfolding of her character, and the relationships she's were in were really nice. Even like you said, the one with Sean would have been really good, but I don't think she was very clear about what was a deal breaker for her and what wasn't. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, in the process, kind of ended up hurting Sean. Yeah.
What did you think about her like mental health? The moment that she had there, like when she was just like super depressed, like I thought it was real. We have all experienced like life where it's like, oh, this is heavy, and so I felt like they captured that in a really nice way with her. So
Hmm.
Yeah. I even like that they captured, well, your father has depression and he takes medication for it. And I think it kind of opened up a discussion to like normalize that space for individuals. So I thought that was a really beautiful thing to have in the show. I will say, I think something that I would have liked to see more in that space is being able to say like, hey guys, I'm struggling, which she ended up doing, but I think it took her some time to get there. But I would hope that any, young women out there watching the show who might be feeling the way that Quinn did, like that they see like being able to just speak up and go to your friends, even if you feel like they can't necessarily understand, or to almost like force your way into that space with your friends, because I feel like there were a lot of times she kept trying to say like, this is going on, this
Yeah.
is going on, and everyone else's story was like almost overshadowing what Quinn was going through, and it was like, because you have money or you come from success, like what you got going on doesn't really, you know, um, mean as much. And so I liked how she finally was like, I need a vacation, I need a girls trip, I need to get back to myself, and I'm gonna start trying to take medication and work on my mental
I
health.
really liked.
Hmm.
I liked the fact that like it was real in the beginning how they showed how she was kind of trying to say it, but her friends were not picking up on it. They were being a little more self-centered in their stories at the time, and they really weren't
Hmm.
quite honestly there for her at that time period. But when she raised it, everybody was like, "Oh, all hands on deck," sort of thing. And it wasn't
Hmm.
like sometimes you have in like modern day friendships where you can get someone can express, I mean, someone can feel some type of way, but they don't speak it, and so then they end up cutting
Mhm.
people off and not giving people the chance to show up because they didn't show up the way they wanted them to show up initially. You know what I mean? Because like
Hmm.
those girls, they were like everybody kept talking over her, like when she was trying to express that something was going on, and so like if she had taken the stance of like, you know what, Camille always it's always about Camille, and so
Always
like
about
I,
Yeah.
I
toxic
I'm gonna do
Camille.
my own thing, no worries, and like you just cut it because she could have missed out on these experiences of having people be there for her, and so I think it was nice that they show her actually voicing what was happening to her and giving her friends the opportunity to show up. So I really like that. The so yeah, I don't know if we want to get to Ty, Miss Spicy Ty. um, Ty, I loved her representation. I feel like she was bold, and then she's also flashy, feminine, and bringing out her masculine energy at the same time. Because I do think everybody has both, regardless of sexuality. I think we all have both. Any thoughts on like the contrast between like Ty's amazing sort of career aspects and like her money making and her ambition, and then like her like basically like emotional what do they call it, emotional unavailability, is that what the I don't know what the
Hmm.
term is for the clinical.
Yeah, emotionally unavailable. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, yeah. What are folks' thoughts on like her, that contrast, of just being all in for the career, but then not really, but self-aware about the fact that she was not really, or at first she wasn't self-aware because I think it was the ex-husband who had to say something to her before she realized that like she wasn't all in for like having a relationship.
Yeah, I think before they unfolded and got to the end of the reason why that I guess happened for her, I guess I don't know what I thought, but once they kind of went backwards and showed that like she was in that serious relationship, and then I think it may have been her fiance found out about her husband or something like that, left. So I think part of that was her trying to protect herself, from something like that happening again, and like then like solely hyper focusing on her career, which in turn made her really really successful. But yeah, I mean I thought the contrast was interesting. It shows like oftentimes I think we prioritize like financial success, and when we look at people that are financially successful, we're like, yeah, they're doing great in life, but we don't kind of look at them holistically. Not that she wasn't doing great in life, but she was struggling relationally. And so I think that it showed like you can have the money, you can have all the things and still struggle or still be afraid. I enjoyed that contrast in her character.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I also, and this might be a little controversial, but I am an advocate for leaving your hometown and like redeveloping and creating your own new life. So I hate that it came with, so many emotional challenges in terms of like her sexual identity and like having to leave her husband. But I do think it does point to what can happen when you kind of step outside of your comfort zone and kind of just like go all in on yourself. So I did like that. Something that's also very, very important to talk about, though, was her health issues.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about that?
Yeah, I was telling y'all on the pre-call, like, look, like I actually, when she passed out, I actually cried, and this is not like a heavy show, like, so I wasn't all like emotionally invested, but I cried, but because of the experiences I've had, and like literally, I think I was telling y'all that last week I had the worst doctor's visits I had in my life, like literally a doctor saying, I don't care what these results say, and I'm like, I care, so can you explain them to me? You know what I mean? Like, I don't. The level of like disregard that it's actually. I'm not to get emotional, but it's the level of disregard that sometimes we experience as Black women in these doctors' offices. It's ridiculous, and I'm not saying that like I've had like a ton of experiences being disregarded, but I feel like I have had all these like the fibroid, the cysts, the all of those things, like they bring about this level of like fear. I don't want to say fear, but it brings out something in you that's just like, oh my god, is this going to be like a problem for me? Is this going to be like it's so interesting. Like I had the exact same like sort of diagnosis that Quinn has. Like I have like high egg count, but like having these fibroids, having these cysts, and so like that Quinn, I mean Ty's story really resonated with me because I was just like, this is my sort of experience a little bit. I've not had the pain or had to like pass out in a anything like that, but I've had surgeries, you know what I mean, and you just don't want to have other ones. You don't want to have to do things that are not necessarily what your body intended. So I'm glad that they focused on some of these things and some of these experiences, because like you sit in a room full of like 3-4 Black women, at least half of them are going to have like one of these issues: fibroids, cysts, endometriosis, PCOS, yes, something.
Yeah.
And side note, like I've been sharing on my social media like all this stuff about the synthetic hair. I'm not saying it causes it or anything like that. But like all of these things that are in our products, and they were like, there's like a Harvard study out talking about how like black women products had the most hormone disrupting like chemicals in them than
Yeah.
brands targeted for white folks, white women.
Yeah.
And that's real. It's
That's
like,
from hair products to the hair that we're putting in our
yeah, it's
hair.
like all of it. And so like I said, I cried. Like I literally cried. I mean, it was the week, like I said, I had this doctor's appointment, and it was the worst I've had. But I definitely was just like, I ain't trying to bring the vibe of the episode down, but like I felt that, and I'm glad they put it in there, and I'm glad they put in there the note about checking your ovarian reserve. It is literally a blood test, and you can find out where you are. You can make choices. You know, I have friends who are doing IVF, and it's just like you can make choices and you can plan. So I enjoyed that aspect of the show. I think they do that very well, like dropping things that are good info to know for us as black women.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't think there's enough discussion about just the risks that come with being a woman. And yeah, it was definitely necessary. And I know you said, it was one appointment, Kamaria, but one appointment is a life changing appointment, one misstep, one doctor that just doesn't care and sends you home with pain medications, can turn into anything within the matter of weeks or a month when you can get to a doctor who does care. So it's also very important to vet your doctors, feel heard, ask all your questions. And I tell even like my therapy clients, like if I don't work for you as a therapist, like that's okay, and you need to do the same thing with your doctors. Treat it like it's dating. Go around until you find one that works for you, especially if you have the resources to do so, and to express your concerns and your fears about the medical system at the beginning of the appointment, and listen and hear how the doctor responds to see if it will work for you. And if the doctor doesn't treat you in that appointment because you don't like that doctor, make sure you call your insurance and let them know, I actually wasn't treated at this appointment. So make sure I do not have a claim for this appointment.
Because yeah, like it wasn't even that the like it was the news that the doctor gave me was bad, that making it the worst. It was literally her. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was literally her. She didn't give me no news, basically. Like I'm like, girl, okay, I ain't got time for this. Like wasting my time and my money,
All right, are we ready to get into Miss Angie?
Rounding it on out.
Yes. What are our thoughts on Angie? She's super carefree. She had a free spirit, and you can tell she just loves life. And then she had her challenges with love as well, in dating. I am interested in how you feel about how much intercourse she was having.
I mean, I guess she's supposed to be like is it Samantha from Sex and the City? Because I never watched all of Sex and the City. I've watched.
I never really watched
Yeah,
Sex
she
and the
would be
City, so I
compared to
can't-
Samantha.
I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I didn't think it was super realistic, but I think like you always gotta have one in these shows. You know what I mean? Because like I don't have any friends that are like that. I mean, I don't know if y'all do, but like I don't have any friends like that. Because I just think it's like for women, it's like you might have somebody who's like a little bit more free, but like at the same time, these men
Careful.
be carrying. Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Yes,
You be stuck
careful.
with the baby and the STD. Like this is like
Yeah.
not.
I was waiting for her to be like, "Do you have a condom?" Like I was waiting for those
moments
parts.
you had it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why they
Yeah, like
left
when's the
those
last time you were
moments out.
tested?
No, that's
You
Yeah,
said
I don't know
what?
why they
Did you?
left out like safe sex conversations. I thought that was interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
And she
because
even
you
made
can.
a. Go ahead.
Oh no, go on.
No, I'm saying she even made a joke one time. She was like, "I don't." She said something like, you're not gonna catch a STD. At least not in none of the bad ones." Like I was like,
Oh yeah,
"Hey, this girl, like."
she did. I guess
Yeah.
that was the thing I didn't like how they like created her character, because I'm like, you can be sex positive or be open to having a lot of partners, like all the things, and that doesn't mean that you don't actually care about your sexual health. And so I feel like they could have included that bit, but maybe it was intentional. Maybe they were trying to, maybe it was intentional. I don't know. But I mean, I loved how carefree she was. I also really, really loved her confidence. But I did notice at a moment where it was dipping a bit and she went home and she was like really like re-energized by her mother. I loved that conversation with her mother. It was one comment her mom made where it was like, you know, you're looking for something because you forgot you are something or something, like it was something like that she said. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
you are something. I loved it. So I loved that relationship she had with her mother. And I loved her confidence and how carefree she was. It was lovely to watch.
Yeah. And I love that, kind of like in contrast to Quinn, right? Like
Yeah.
her divulging into her love life it didn't come off like as a form of desperation. It was like, what I do with me and my, lady parts is my business, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do it how I want to. And when love knocked out of her door, she dove like right into it, and she didn't question it, and she appreciated it. So I really loved that as well.
Yeah, and I think that like, because even like, remember that time when she was dating a guy? Oh, I can't remember his name, but he was like some Harlem shake. Like he was like thought he was so good in bed. He was like he had this
Oh,
this fancy house. I don't even remember
yeah.
who he was, but she like at first she was dealing with it a little bit, but then she was just like, first of all, she let
Mm-hmm.
like read him his rights. Like, you small, like, stop
Yeah.
it. I know you're not talking to me. Like, she was very real, and
Yeah.
I love the point you made about the mother daughter thing, because like I feel like that is, I mean, that's my experience. I feel like with my mother, it's like I can't, like, there's no time that I can be down on myself and my mother not like pull my face and be like,
Mm-hmm.
like, lift me up. Like, and I feel like that representation of black motherhood needs to be seen, because I do think that
Yeah.
it's around a lot. And I don't think that, not, no offense to like the Precious, Monique's character, and like Precious, like those type of movies. It's like a lot of times they have the black mothers being like, so like, sit up straight, and you look, your hair doesn't look good, or trying to make perfectionism in black women. And maybe that's some people's black
Quinn's
mothers.
mother.
But you said what?
I was gonna say Quinn's
Yeah,
mother.
Quinn's mother.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like there's a lot of black women who are out here really just feeding like their daughters, and it's like people talk about like daddy's girls, and it's like, no, how about mama's girls? You know what I mean? Not no,
Yeah.
because I'm both. I'm
Right.
both. I'm daddy's girl and mama's girl, but I think that that's a real thing, and I really enjoyed that positive representation.
Yeah, that was something I wish they would have also shown more, like allowed her mom to be in more
Yes. So was that
scenes.
Sherry Shepherd?
Um,
I was like,
right.
what's
Like,
is that
even
you
kind
on
of
the
just like
wig? I
phone
couldn't tell who it was.
conversations. I was every time Quinn Mama came on the screen, I was like, why is this lady here?
Willie. I ain't gonna talk like Willie. I love me too. Willie needs to act always. I'm here for it. The accents. I was not here for the accent,
Oh,
but I'm here
yeah,
for
it was
Willie
the
Gilbert,
accent.
Jasmine Guy. I'm here for Jasmine
Yeah.
Guy. She can do no wrong. Even like the accent was a little thick, but I enjoyed seeing. I feel like they brought in people Countess Vaughn was in like
Hmm.
one episode. I feel like they tried to bring in some people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
am I tripping? Like Ian's mama was like the Law and Order lady. Whoopi Goldberg is like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like they had some people. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
just
They
they
did
did.
bring in some good people. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Megan Good, like those are all, some heavy hitters in
Yeah.
the industry. So yeah. Even the race issues that came up through Angie's character, I do like how, they had the scenes where they explained white fragility and the white woman tears and having to apologize in spaces. And I actually like that it wasn't in a corporate space, because I think sometimes the conversation is often like, this is what happens in like these more professional and buttoned up settings. But
Mm-hmm.
no, it's happening everywhere, honey. Okay.
Yeah.
And there is it's dangerous, right? Like it's often weaponized against black women, and for the rest of Angie's castmates to kind of be like, just apologize, girl. Like, you know, it's kind of like what we're told that type of thing all the time. Like, apologize
Yeah.
for who you are and your beliefs and your thoughts, and make other people feel okay, especially white people, to just get on by. So, yeah, what are y'all thoughts on that?
I was so frustrated. I mean, and
Yeah.
I understood that she needed money. Like I totally get that need, but I was just so frustrated. Like they would like toggle between like what she was thinking in her mind, what she wanted to happen, and what
Hmm.
actually happened. And I just so badly like wanted her to be like, "Girl, I'm not apologizing to you." Like I'm just not. But also I understood like she was in this place where she had been out of work for a bit and was trying to catch a break. Um, it's a tough spot because it really is so realistic in the workspace where you're like, I mean, I could speak up and say something, but then I could be fired tomorrow, and now it's a whole new problem starting. It sucks. It's just a
Yeah.
crappy place to like be in and have to make a decision about that.
Right. Especially because of the color of your skin and microaggressive behaviors.
You're right.
It's not fun. Yeah.
So, what are you all's thoughts on the season 3 trailer?
I mean, I think I have the question that everybody has.
What is it?
Who is
Who's pregnant? Who
pregnant?
y'all think is pregnant? Who y'all think is pregnant? Because I got some theories.
I think Angie.
Angie. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about her Motown hairdo man.
Mo-
Like I
Not
thought
Motown, man.
I was like Jermaine Jackson, Jackie. Like I didn't like the haircut, but he
Neither.
was.
Oh yeah.
I did think he was a nice like yeah, he's a nice guy, whatever.
Yeah.
But you think it's Angie?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What's your theory?
I was gonna say, like, logistically that wouldn't make sense, right? Because like they were at the hospital, I think, right, or
Uh-huh.
at the doctor's. I'm not exactly sure where they were when they were
I think they were in
like,
the doctor, just like the doctors.
Yeah, they're at the doctor's
yeah, but it
hospital
was
or
like
something.
Ty's appointment, right? But
Hmm.
I believe it was Ty's appointment, but Camille had also been tested for her eggs or whatever she was getting tested for. So I was not sure who it might be, but I was just like, I just threw a ball back out there. I was like, maybe it's Angie.
I think it's Ty.
How,
I think that her and her ex-husband had a little
Had a
fling one night.
moment.
Yes, had a little moment. And I think it's Ty.
I have a theory that it could be her tied too, because I think that they want to just shock us and be like,
Yeah.
because they was a little too close, like when he did the little IVF treatment, like and it was
Right.
all
Oh yeah,
huggy,
yeah,
huggy. But I'm like, first of all,
And we know Ty ain't got she don't got the impulse control to stop, right? If it got a
yeah,
little something, she might have said, let me just try it again. Right? Let me just see. Maybe.
yeah.
I
It
don't know.
would be interesting if it came out to the point where Ty discovers that maybe she's bisexual and she's not only into women.
That's true.
I don't know. If I almost would just think that like it just was the emotions that got her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah,
because like she doesn't seem like someone who's unclear about her sexuality. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
at the same time, like the way they've crafted this character. But I think that like I just think that for whatever reason, like their union and like after the lawsuit and everything, I think there's something euphoric about like that moment and the way they feel healed or
Hmm.
whatever. So I could see something happening, but part of me also wondered if it was just like the Camille Ian saga continue part 3, and so
yeah.
like
I hope not.
because I'm not sure. I don't even know because I guess like he's dating somebody new. That's another thing. Like in the season 3 trailer, we see he's dating somebody new. The girl
Hmm.
who's like she thought was a
The
sister.
sister.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Just a friendly PSA to keep watch out for those. But she like for real but I wondered for a second. I was like, is it that like he started dating this woman and then like the reason why she's like all in his house and all like, oh Ian, come here or whatever, is because they have found out they have this baby together or whatever. But I feel like if they knew that, they would just get back together because it's like, oh, the problem solved. You know what I mean? Like the problem was the not having the baby, but now they have it. So it feels like I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe
I
Ian,
could
or
see
Ian
that.
probably was like, I'm not gonna keep doing this with you, this back and forth, baby. Do you want me or not? And she
That's
done
true.
caused me to go through no marriage, a lawsuit.
I know. But
Yeah.
Ian, like I said, both of them, they just,
Yeah.
like,
But you're right. They could continue this saga. And the fact, like, even in the trailer, I was like, why are they still interacting? Andrea broke up for like the fifth time. So the like
Yeah.
the fact that that was happening, I was like, oh, she might be pregnant. Like she
Yes,
might be pregnant
spin the
with this
block
child.
for real.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I feel like, why does anybody think it could be Quinn at all?
No,
I
I think
wasn't
they're gonna
thinking
let her
Quinn.
have like a
I barely
fresh
was
love
thinking
story.
Angie. I was just like, just for TV purposes and just like a wild spin, maybe Angie. But yeah,
I don't
the
think it's Quinn
appointment
or
at the end of the
anything.
day was about Ty, and Camille is the
Camille.
only other person whose reproductive issues were like shown in the show. So I figured it had to be one of
I
them.
mean, I don't know. I just feel like they probably would just, make it a surprise either way. Like, throw us. Like, we've been talking about
Yeah,
reproduction with these two, but guess what? It's this one,
yeah,
Yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah.
I'll be excited, but I don't feel like that we're gonna see a baby this season. It's just gonna be like
yeah,
the nine
Someone's
month.
pregnant.
Yeah. If we see a
Yeah.
baby, I'd be surprised. But I do see Quinn has a bunch of different hairstyles, so it makes me think: are we jumping years? Because there's like Quinn in the trailer, she has a long hair, like on down to one side, and one, and
Hmm.
she's got that little bob, and then she's got the old Quinn like regular like shoulder
Well,
length.
isn't this
yeah,
the final season?
It is. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying.
This
Like,
is
I
the
wonder if they're
final
gonna
season.
skip through
Yeah.
some years a little bit to just give people a completed story.
Story,
Story.
yeah, a complete
Maybe,
story.
maybe. I would love to see Angie married and like settled in her nice home with her millionaire man
Yeah, he
who came
is
and swept her
rich.
off. Yeah, he's
Hmm.
rich. Came and swept her off her
I know.
feet
Yeah,
with
I would
all
like
the good
that to see that too.
intentions.
Yeah.
I think they
Yes.
brought
Men out
in
there, it's okay
Kofi.
to marry somebody after a year or less because they didn't know each other long.
Yeah.
That's true. They didn't. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I
and I
think
think
a
they
year.
brought in that Kofi guy for. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, no, go ahead. You said about Kofi.
I was saying I think they brought in that Kofi guy for Quinn.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think.
I did see
But I'm
that.
like, they had the college ex boyfriend. I was like, "Are you gonna do something with him?" Like, he was just in there for like a day. Because isn't that her real husband? Am I just tripping?
That's her real
Okay, yeah.
husband. Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
they
her real
just brought
husband.
him in for like a day, being like, "I still love you, girl." Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, "I need to be single," and then like it was just like a one episode.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
didn't
I
want her
would
to be
like to
with
see a
him.
nice conclusion for Quinn's love life as well. Because I mean, yeah, Quinn. Because I feel like they didn't give us no real ending. Because I'm like, what happened with Sean?
Yeah,
Hmm.
she just chose herself. I guess I like that they did that
Yeah,
because like it was gonna be some like she just would have been just going from one heartbreak to the other if they hadn't like
Yeah,
yeah.
giving her some time to pause and like develop who she is, who she wanted to be in that season of her life. Does anyone have any other thoughts or predictions for what is going to happen in season 3? Like what we might see with the characters?
I think
sad is
Angie's
coming to.
career. Oh, sorry. I think Angie's career will boom. Quinn will probably find love. Maybe Camille will stop being messy. And I think Ty, because remember Ty left off on this cliffhanger where she was sleeping with the mother and the daughter.
I thought that was the
Oh,
end of that. Like they better not wrap around with half and half and like the daughter,
not oh,
like
happy.
half and half junior. Like I that was done with in my view. That was done with when she flipped both ways and it was like, oh my god.
But
Which I
I think it'll be a character developing moment for her to be
Yeah,
oh, like really, what am I doing with my love life right now? Like I'm not trying to act like I'm maturing, but really I wasn't, right? So I think it'll be, even if they don't wrap around to revisit that relationship, I think it'll be some type of character development for her. I don't know when Camille's going to have hers because it still seems like she's confused. So
Mhm.
yeah,
yes. Messing in another relationship. If that man has moved on, leave him alone.
Yeah, no.
you can let him.
If they wrap around to Ian and Camille, which I do think they're gonna do, that's just the way these shows run. Is like who is the what if guy in the beginning? It usually is the guy. If they set up a show with that story in mind, right?
Yeah.
It's usually who they end up with, like you know. Issa and Lawrence, you know what I mean? Like they tried to tease us with the Nathan, but it was Issa and Lawrence in the end. So I feel like it will be the two of them. To be honest, I would enjoy if they didn't. I would enjoy if they didn't have her end up with anybody. To be honest, because I think I think they need to start creating happily ever afters that don't necessarily have to be wrapped around a man. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be like anti-man, but like I do think that everything since we were kids, Disney, everything is like happily ever after with a man, happily ever after with a man. Like, can she be like? Can she have something else that is like happily ever after? These friendships, her career, whatever's really important to her. Because this Ian saga, like, it felt a little bit unhealthy, like, to be honest, and it felt like that was the prize. And if they do that, they just need to make me feel it. I'm here for some. I was here for Lawrence. And that was not like all the way healthy all the time in terms of Issa Lawrence, but it just make me feel it. You make me feel it. You make me wanna, be all in. I'll be like, Ian, all right, Ian, but like they didn't. I have never felt it.
So that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. Next week, we'll be coming back to discuss season 3 to see if any of our predictions are true or false.
Don't forget that if you would love to join us, we are here on YouTube at Black Girls Talkin TV. So go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe so that you can get the notifications when we are here again. And we are also on all other platforms at Black Girls Talkin TV. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and even Limit 8. So if the government shut us down, we still got some short form content for y'all.
And comment, like, tell us who y'all think is gonna be pregnant. Like, is it gonna be Quinn? Is it gonna be Ty? And let us know in the comments. Let us know what shows you want to watch, what you're watching. Just have a conversation with us. We have a conversation back. So thank you for tuning in to our first episode, and we will see you next week. Bye.